Hello and welcome back to Normandy with me, Patrick Hilyer. You're watching Virtual D-Day from We Love Normandy, and we're here at the Vierville Draw in between Charlie and Dog Green sector on Omaha Beach. And I'm delighted to say that today I'm here with my very good friend and fellow guide, Geert van den Bogaert. So Geert, if you'd like to say hello.
Hello everyone.
Let's see if we can get us both on the picture here. Geert's just going to have a look on his phone to make sure that the pictures and sound are coming through. We even have subtitles today, which might come in handy if Geert starts speaking his native tongue, which is Flemish, because he's Belgian, right, Geert?
Yes, that's right, Patrick, but kind of native Norman like you now.
And he speaks about 5 languages absolutely perfectly. It's sickening. So welcome very much. Welcome to everybody. Lady Marjorie from Grand Commazy, thanks for tuning in yet again. Tom, good to see you. Alex, it is a lovely day here. It's absolutely fantastic, as so often is the case. I think people who watch these broadcasts must believe that the sun always shines in Normandy, apart from those couple of broadcasts I did from places like Bayeux. But anyway, today we have fabulous weather. And Ruth, thank you very much. Good morning, Ruth, tuning in from Philadelphia. People tuning in from all over the world. Now then, before we set off, we have to load up. Let me put you onto the front camera here. We have to load up Geert with his pack here. Now tell us, Geert, how much weight have we got in your pack?
Well, the challenge, Patrick, is 44 pounds on my back for the 4 miles here on Omaha Beach. I'm going to try and do that in less than 66 minutes, plus questions.
Okay, so the bag is 44 pounds in weight. It doesn't look like it. It does not look like it. Can I feel that?
Yeah, sure.
Let me have a feel here. Oh, jeez. I can't even lift that with one hand. So what do you have in there? Barbells?
Yeah, I got a couple of barbells, and then a lot of Omaha Beach shingle, which we'll be actually using later on, Patrick.
Okay, well look, before we get your bag, the backpack on, tell us a little bit about what the objective is for today's fundraiser.
Right, so I've been a Normandy guide for 20 years now, and of course we had the COVID episode just behind us, and you know, when things like that happen, there's a little setback, and then there's always new opportunities. And for me, the new opportunity is a educational travel program called NEXT GEN NORMANDY, and we're going to try and bring young people to Normandy so that they can learn some of the valuable lessons from that greatest generation, and hopefully become the next greatest generation. So I really wanted to do that in a way that was close to what the greatest generation stood for. So meaning I'm going to have to put in some effort and you know, pull up my sleeves as well. So I basically launched myself a challenge, 20 challenges that have 44 in them. And I just did the 44 push-ups at the D-Day Memorial and Crippon near Gold Beach. And so the day is 44 pounds on my back and walk all across Omaha Beach. So,
well, that's fantastic, Geert. And there's a link on the Facebook page to the GoFundMe page for NEXT GEN Normandy. And the money, just so that we can be clear, the foundation assists school groups and students to come to Normandy and learn about what happened here in 1944. That's basically it, right?
Yeah, basically the money that is coming through this personal fundraiser of mine will be going to students that will be helping. They'll get travel grants for them to come to Normandy. So I'm doing that the whole year. My goal is 6,644 euros by the end of the year. Guess, you know, that makes, again, connection with D-Day there, 6644.
Well, that's fantastic, Geert. And where are we at right now?
I'm going to tell you what, Patrick, this is the second month. This is the third challenge. I'm doing a few other ones at the same time, and in 2 months we've raised close to 2,200 euros. So I'm a third along the way of succeeding in this challenge. So it's looking good, and I want to thank everybody who's already supported, and I'll be paying tribute to several of them today on this walk as well.
Well, that's just fantastic. Well, let me just put the camera down here, and I will help you on with your backpack. People who've watched my tours here from the Vierville Draw before will know that we're at Strongpoint 73 on Omaha Beach, and we're going to walk the entire length of the beach today, and Geert is going to be doing it with this thing.
All right. Yep.
And believe me,
there we go. Yep, I'm good, Patrick. Thanks.
That is one heavy backpack. Good. Okay, and as we look around here, again, we've been here a couple of times. We're here at Strongpoint 72, and we're looking actually at Strongpoint 73 there. Some of you, if I'll zoom in there, you'll be able to see the 75mm gun emplacement at Strongpoint 73 up there on the bluffs. And as I pan around, you'll see the tide today is about half in and half out. I believe there's a very low coefficient in the tide today, Geert, so the tide won't be in or out too much. But
yeah, it's not coming too fast. 28, I checked it earlier, so that's not too bad.
Okay. Well, in that case, let me just zoom in on this guy who's not yet broken a sweat, but will do by the time we get there. I guess it's time to go. I'll just check that I have locked the car. There we go.
All right.
Let's go. So Geert, have you got a route all planned out?
Well, it's pretty straightforward, Patrick. It's from west to east, and maybe to put it in kind of a World War II themed approach, from 188 to the other, because that's kind of what we're going to try and do here at WN72. The 88mm German anti-tank gun is still in that bunker.
That's the one. So that's the one underneath the National Guard monument that I am zoomed in on now, right?
That's right. That's right. It's right over there where the flagpoles are, and all the way at the other end at WN61. There's a kind of identical bunker with no gun in it, but there would have been an 88 in there on June 6th. So,
and that's 4 miles. So let's begin. Are we going to clamber down these rocks here, or are we going to go around?
Well, Patrick, let's take the ramp. Right?
So we've been keeping an eye on the weather forecast over the past week or so, and up until a few days ago, it looked like it was going to be a weather challenge as well as a walking challenge today. And today it's one of those perfect Normandy days, what I call a perfect Normandy blue sky. And we are descending onto Omaha Beach. So what are we? We're in, I guess, Dog Green sector right here.
Yeah.
Charlie behind us.
Yep. Those who've watched Saving Private Ryan. Doesn't look like anything in the movie, right? Because it wasn't filmed here on location, but it kind of gives you a bit of a frame of reference there already of the events that took place here.
So Spielberg chose to film that in Southern Ireland, right?
That's right, yes. And I've never been there, but from what I was told, you can still kind of visit the set of where they filmed Saving Private Ryan, although that info needs to be updated, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, how far would you say the tide is out today? It looks like about 300 yards, something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I would say a little less. You know, I'm thinking football field, so I'd aim for more like 200 yards, Patrick. But it depends, of course, where you are in Omaha. Having that crescent shape, it does tend to get a little further out when you get closer to St. Laurent, the center of the beach.
Okay. And for those of you who have not had this virtual walk of Omaha Beach before, we have the sea to our left, and on the right, of course, after the seawall, you have the bluffs, 200 to 300 feet in height, I guess.
Yeah, some of the steepest ones you can find on Omaha, definitely here down in Beerville. You know, for those who are familiar with Omaha Beach, or maybe you've seen some of Patrick's virtual tours of different sectors of the beach. Here at Beerville, just beyond that seawall on the road, it just goes straight up.
Yeah. And one of the gaps in the bluffs here where General Coter, Dutch Coter, Norman Coter and his troops made their way up to the top, I believe.
Yeah, we'll be a little further down the beach there. Dog White actually will point out Coter's draw as we get closer up there, but again, you know, I think that they had to go up that pretty steep. The draw behind us not being an option, obviously. And maybe you noticed Patrick today wearing the Ranger hat. I mean, so many great units here that participated, but I decided to wear the Ranger hat because no history was so closely connected to Ranger history than what happened here on Omaha Beach. Their motto today, Rangers lead the way. whether those are the exact words by General Coda when he sent those Rangers up that bluff has to be verified, but their history really closely connected. And this hat was actually one of the very first gifts I got from a Ranger veteran 20 years ago now, Mr. James Hudnall, and I hope his son will be able to watch this. Ron, who was a U.S. Army Ranger in Vietnam as well, so got his name on that hat, and the memories and stories in my heart. So happy you can do this for them today as well.
Well, that's fantastic, Geert.
Patrick, I know you probably noticed we're walking into the wind, right?
Yeah, I have noticed that we're walking into the wind. If the wind noise is too bad, then let us know. I can always put the microphone in my pocket or something like that. I do have the dead cat on the microphone, but if the picture and sound quality are okay, let me know. Also, let me know where you're viewing from, and we'll give you a shout out. I think. Do we have any message? Also, question. If you want to pose a question to Geert or myself, please feel free to write in on the Facebook page. Do we have any messages there yet? Any messages of encouragement for Geert?
For now, I see a lot of thumbs up, so I think that means people can hear us. They can hear us all the way in Puerto Rico. That's where Alma Rodriguez is watching us from, Patrick. So
is that Alma?
It is Alma, yes.
Well, welcome, Alma. Thank you very much for tuning in. Let me zoom out here, and I'm going to get a view of Geert with the backpack, with the 44 pounds, with the sea in the background there. So far, he's looking pretty good. The going is soft, but he is walking into the wind. And we do have to keep this up for the next 66 minutes. Well, and we're getting a bit of a sandstorm here as well. Now, if you've just joined us, you're watching Virtual D-Day with me, Patrick Hilyer, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Geert van der Bogaert, who assures me that he's no relation directly with the famous Hollywood film actor Dirk, but maybe there's a distant family connection. And Geert's a D-Day guide, has been working in the Normandy region for 20 years, is that right, Geert?
Yeah, it's the 20th anniversary this year, Patrick.
And he worked for many years at the Normandy American Cemetery, I believe.
Yep, 7 years. Very, very proud to have been able to work at the Normandy American Cemetery for the American Battle Monuments Commission. Pretty meaningful.
And today, he's an independent D-Day guide like myself, and we're looking forward to a very busy year, hopefully, with visitors returning to Normandy after 2 years of travel restrictions due to COVID. So if you have any questions you'd want to put to a couple of D-Day guides, please feel free to send them in. We have an hour or so to chew the fat and keep walking on this soft sand through the teeth of a high wind, but we'd be delighted to answer any questions you might have or any comments. If you'd like to know more about Geert's fundraiser, there's a link to a GoFundMe page, and that link is right on the top of the Facebook post.
Patrick, as we were talking about the wind, some of the descriptions of men coming ashore, in those first waves, carrying loads that were heavier than what I have on my back. It was often described as men kind of running into the face of a strong wind, rather than, they had the impression they were running, but they weren't going very fast, obviously. And there's some footage that you can see from Omaha Beach. It's very famous, where you see 2 or 3 of these GIs heavily loaded up. You got the the big wooden logs out in the water with the tide coming out, and they're coming in, and it's very, very dramatic footage where you see one of the men just drop after being hit, and you see how slow, you know, they kind of move forward after, you know, having gone through that ordeal out at sea, and then having to try and cross this beach. And you know, people can't see it or feel it right now, but you know, there are areas where this sand isn't very firm, and so you kind of slip away a little bit, and it definitely doesn't make moving forward any easier. So you start hearing my breathing getting a little little stronger as I'm trying to talk as well. So, you know, to think that
you may be relieved to know, and the viewers also, that I'm a qualified first aider.
Yes, and I remember you mentioned that, Patrick, when I first said, "Hey, Patrick, how about trying to carry 44 kilos?" You said, and yeah, I remember you saying, "Well, you know, I'm not planning on saving anyone alive on Facebook." So
I didn't want to be responsible for having to carry you to the top of the beach, and we certainly don't want any more casualties on Omaha Beach. But you're a young man. You're a much younger man than me.
I'm sure how old I am, Patrick?
Oh, I'd put you. I don't know, what is it? Speaking with a 3.
It's 44.
Oh, there we go, 44.
Oh,
well, I was going to say you look in your late 30s, maximum.
That's what I tell my wife. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just met your dad, and Eric is a lovely guy, and he is the same age as my dad. He's 82, right?
Yes, yeah. Dad's been around on some of these battlefields with me as well over the years.
When's his birthday?
Actually, he just had it. Well, it's going to happen the 29th March. So.
Well, he is 27 days younger than my dad.
Okay. Well, that's something for us to chat about when he picks us up at the other end of the beach, because we're not going to come back and do this same distance in the other way.
But that's great, because it almost makes me feel like I'm, you know, sort of the same age as you, sort of 40s, very, very high 40s. I am.
You look good, Patrick. You look good. Hey, Patrick. By the way, maybe point out over to the right. You know, very few houses and buildings here on Omaha Beach, still the original ones. That one being one of them. Actually, you can see it on a lot of the archive pictures and some of the footage. So
let me see if I can zoom in on that and just give you a chance to catch your breath as well, because it's pretty. Getting a lot of. We're filming into the sun, but yeah, you can see that. And the old barn there to the right, I believe that's
some of the reconstruction.
That's a reconstruction. The barn there, the stone barn.
I mean, there were probably, you know, if you look at the archive pictures, there were probably as many small, you know, houses and cottages at the time, but, you know, many of these are, you know, post-war reconstruction.
Absolutely.
But this one definitely is there.
Yeah.
Changed a little bit, and maybe Francois, the owner, is out there and waving at us.
Yeah.
He's out on Facebook quite a bit as well. But yeah, for anyone, a lot of footage and some pictures of LCI bringing in men of the 2nd Infantry Division. So Google 2nd Infantry Division, Omaha Beach, apart from Le Rouquet Valley. You'll probably find some footage of that house there as well.
They coming in on the 7th of June, right?
Yeah, well, you know, that the first elements, although they had some engineers, 2nd engineers, combat engineers attached to the Special Engineer Task Force, you know, in the first wave.
Right.
But, you know, it's an entire division, Patrick, you know, so you've got 15,000, you know, men, and, you know, on a beach that was littered with debris and obstacles. And, you know, it took them 4 days to unload the entire division. So it's kind of difficult to say that one division landed that day, right?
Like the 2nd Armored, for instance. I mean,
same thing
7,
over.
8, 9,
yeah, exactly.
Like
Exactly. Yeah. And not only, you know, multiple days, but, you know, I'm referring to them here on Dog White.
Yeah.
Right. And people always think, you know, at
Le Rouquet
Valley, and which is true, because there's famous footage and pictures
film
there as well.
footage, I suppose, wins out.
Yeah, but I mean, even all the way to Colville, you see men of the 2nd Division going through the town there, coming up probably from the Colville draw. So, you know, it's there was always more to tell to a story than what one picture might give you as background.
And the 2nd Infantry Division, of particular interest to you, I think, with other stuff that you do?
Yeah. I mean, the 2nd Infantry Division kind of always looked at as one of those follow-up divisions, and often a little bit overshadowed, especially in that first week, 10 days after landing on D-Day, because they weren't in the first waves, and because then later on, of course, the focus for them goes to Hill 192. But in between, quite a few things happened, and some of the viewers today are actually related to men of the 2nd Infantry Division who came ashore here. I saw Mary Delson here, her dad's watching too, and Carolyn and Hank Green, of course, who I've been in touch with for many years. So yeah, the 2nd Division definitely deserves some credit as well, and some more research as to what happened to them in the first few days after the landings here.
So do we have any comments or questions?
Let me have a look. Just get the Facebook on there so I see. Is it possible to visit all D-Day landing beaches in one day? Patrick, you have done it. That was your challenge. You didn't recommend it, but
I'd like to know who sent that comment.
That is Elma Rodriguez.
Okay, Elma. Well, let me see if I can flick around here. Yeah. So the question from Elma in Puerto Rico.
That's right.
Thank you for tuning in. Can you visit all of the D-Day sites in one day? The simple answer is no, and it is also we have a river or a stream to get across here. It's also my golden rule not, or certainly to discourage visitors here from trying to visit certainly all 5 of the D-Day beaches in one day, because it's a long way. It's about 100 kilometers by road, about 80 miles I guess, 70-80 miles by road.
Yeah,
50-60 miles as the crow flies.
Yeah.
So it's a huge area, and if you've tuned into my virtual tours before, you have not visited Normandy, you get a sense of the scale of the size of the beaches here, but it's not easy when you're looking at it on a TV screen. But I'm sure, as you can see, we're on Omaha Beach here. It's the sector is 6 miles long. The sand is actually 4 miles. 4 miles we're walking today from Charlie sector up to Fox Red, and that's just one of 5 beaches. So to do all of them in one day, pretty much impossible. However, 1 week ago today, Saturday, I took a group of people, of my subscribers. I gave them a free guided tour of the D-Day sites. We met at Ouistreham on Sword Beach, and we went to visit Pegasus Bridge, which if you're in that area is an absolute must. And then we drove all the way to the right hand flank of the invasion force, the far westerly end of the D-Day landings area at Sainte-Marie-Église. And then we visited Utah Beach. We had a great lunch in the Roosevelt Cafe. I'm sure one of your favorite local restaurants as well, Geert.
Been there many times, yeah. And maybe just to jump in there too, Patrick, I think it's maybe just good to point out, because we as guides, we would often tell people, no, you can't do it in a day, right? And of course, we wouldn't be able to do it for you in a day, because we go to these places and we have you explore, we have you try and understand what happened there, and we spend some time there.
Yeah.
But technically, can you cover 60, 70 miles in a day? Sure you can.
Yeah.
One of my challenges this year is to go visit 44 D-Day memorials in a day. So I think it's a doable challenge. So anyone can come here, take a car, and drive along the coast and see all of the beaches. Will you have a good understanding of what happened there, and maybe know what you're looking at? Maybe not. So that's why I think over the years many guides would just say, like, hey, spend at least 2 days, 2, 3,
Absolutely.
To get a bit of an idea, and they also have an emotional impact.
Absolutely. And for all the American visitors, make sure you get to the cemetery, the American cemetery here at Colville, at 5 p.m. in the summer period and 4 p.m. in the winter period, so that you can participate in the flag ceremony and listen to the bugle called taps.
Yeah, I got a great comment from Melissa Stetzer, who was saying that she stayed in Caen for a week, but she couldn't make it to all of the beaches. So
there you go.
You can go to a place and you're completely engaged in the history there, and maybe fit in a museum, and your day's over before you know it, right?
Absolutely. But if you are in the Caen area, the Memorial Museum's fantastic. You can go visit the Grand Bunker Museum on Sword Beach. You are not far, of course, from Pegasus Bridge and the Pegasus Memorial Museum, which is a fabulous site, and plenty to do in the Caen area. But yeah, I would advise if you're trying to see the whole of the D-Day area, spend a couple of days. Is that the long and short of it?
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. And a few interesting questions coming up there. One from Hank, who's a bit concerned about our challenge here, asking if we're all going all the way to WN60. Hank, that's a bit too much for me there. But we're going to 61, and yes, there is a car waiting for us there. So don't worry, we won't have to walk back, although we would have the wind in our backs.
Yeah.
And then Mary asked a very good question there too, Patrick. Mary Dawson asked if people are coming back, if things are getting, back to quote unquote normal. And they definitely have, for me, that's what it looks like. Of course, we've got to kind of wait and see what happens in the next few weeks and months, but people are excited. They can travel again, they can come back. We're excited that our students can start thinking about coming back, because school travel, that's a whole other, operation there. So, Mary, things are looking good. Cross our fingers.
Yeah, fingers crossed, Mary. And if you're planning to come over yourself, then get in touch with Geert or myself or one of our colleagues in the Normandy Battlefield Tour Guides Association, or indeed the Federation, the France Federation.
Yeah, exactly. Patrick, I think this is a great question where we can kind of give a little bit more info about some of the things that we've experienced as guides. Ken Luchterland is telling us that his dad landed on Omaha Beach and on D-Day, and he came back about 15 years ago and had a very difficult emotional time while he was there, and it brought back so many terrible memories. Patrick, do you have any recollections of taking people to the beaches and experiencing some really emotional or maybe even difficult moments?
Well, yeah, of course, far fewer than you, I imagine, Geert, because you've been doing this for a few years longer than me. But yeah, with the work that I do at the Chateau de Canisy, for example, we often have veterans groups, and sadly their numbers get fewer and fewer every year. Yeah, we've brought people here. I've even had some lady scatter, unofficially of course, part of her grandfather's ashes here on the beach.
Wow, that's very powerful. Yeah, I mean, of course, on the tours, and having worked at the American Cemetery for 7 years, I mean, there wasn't a year that went by that there was just something that would completely, stay with you for the rest of your life, as far as, people being affected, their entire families being affected by what happened here. And yet, always kept going forward and being very proud about what their fathers or grandfathers did here. And, again, it's a powerful profession that we have, right? Being able to live those moments with people.
Absolutely. And for the first time in my life, so having done this for a few years, I finally got a job that I look forward to going to on a Monday morning, and at aged 50, it was my birthday a few days ago. How old am I? 54! At age 54, I finally found a vocation in life that actually challenges me still, but also gives me a great sense of achievement, and, like as you said, some incredibly emotional moments with clients. And of course the clients change every time. Every visitor is different. Every family has a different story.
Yep. Purpose makes a big difference in life, doesn't it? And to think that every single man that landed on this beach, and woman that landed on this beach, came here for a higher purpose, I think that's a very powerful message to get across to young people, to students, right? I think for them, finding their path in life, if you find your purpose in life, you can go a long way. And there's no better example than the greatest generation here in Normandy or anywhere else in other battlefields in World War II, where they had that higher purpose. And Eisenhower even went as far as saying the unity of purpose, right?
Absolutely.
He talks about the Allies and their efforts together. So great examples of finding a purpose in life.
Yeah.
Students have to come here and get their inspiration to find their own purpose in life.
Absolutely, Geert. And a great example of nations working together with a common goal to rid the world of, at the time, the evil scourge of National Socialism.
Patrick, there's a question for you from Lady Marjorie Simpson, who's asking about a site that's really miles behind us now. If you've ever been to the Hilyer Memorial, I guess you've been a couple times,
yeah,
right,
absolutely.
Patrick?
Absolutely, and I'm sure you have as well, Lady Marjorie, because I believe you live in Gronkon-Maizy, is that right? Is that where you're calling from? or am I confused? Is that from Grand Con?
From Grand Con, possibly. We'll wait for a
Okay, yeah.
response. We're talking about memorials, Patrick. There's one coming up there, right?
Oh yes, but we're 2 or 3 minutes away from the Brave Ones monument at Les Moulins, at the D3 draw, and yeah, what was the question about Lafayette?
If you'd ever been to the memorial there, I think you've been many times.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. But do you know, I've never done a live broadcast from there, so thank you for giving me that idea. Maybe we'll try and do that sometime this summer.
Patrick, before we get to the memorial there, we can turn around just a little bit. All right.
Let's flick the camera around.
You see the steep bluff again from the Vierville draw where we started off.
Okay,
from.
so in the centre of the screen we're looking at, well, the cliffs that start in Charlie sector, goes around to Pointe de la Percée, and the houses that you can see, or the buildings in the very distance, is where we started off about half an hour ago, the Vierville draw. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I've seen some of your virtual tours where definitely you've covered the Dog Green story and A Company, and I think many of your viewers are familiar with that. If they haven't seen you, they should, but if not, Saving Private Ryan is kind of, you know, a
Set
Hollywood
in that
representation
area,
of that area there. Very few people actually talk or cover this particular area, the dog white, dog red sector, and yet this is probably one of the, you know, I'm not going to use too many superlatives in this tour, but this is where a lot of the Rangers, 2nd and 5th Ranger Battalion, elements of the 2nd and 5th Ranger Battalion came ashore, who did not go to Pointe du Hoc because of many reasons. Exactly.
They never got the success signal, praise the Lord. They were diverted to here on Omaha.
That's right. And one of the coolest things that you can see here still today, you see these little jetties, these breakwaters, these kind of wooden breakwaters.
Yeah.
Those were built before the war, right? So they were there. And so they actually provided some cover for these Rangers and other elements of the 116th Infantry Regiment.
These are not the original ones, right?
Well, you know, some of the older ones are kind of, you know, leftovers of what they were.
They're a wooden structure.
They're wooden structure, and that's how they looked there were 15 of them, so not all of them, but you can still see, you know, them beyond there as well. And so they did give
I think in English you say a groin.
Oh my goodness. All right. Yeah. I hope mine won't hurt too much after this walk.
Mine might hurt just having lifted your backpack. I'm sure someone's going to put me right on that if I've got it wrong, but I think that's it. Okay. So you can still see those here.
Yeah, it gave some cover from that enfilading fire, because you've probably talked a lot about the enfilading fire.
Yeah, running parallel with the beach.
And that's also where Brigadier General Norman Dutch Coda, you know, the Assistant Divisional Commander of the 29th Division came ashore. It also interrupted, you know, communications and visibility a little bit, you know, as you couldn't really see each other, but it did give cover. And we're in an area where we're in between strong points, you know, with 68 coming up there and 70 just down the beach there. So this became a very important area for one of the first breakthroughs. There were several that made the success in Omaha. And we mentioned Coda's draw, right? Actually, we walked right past it.
We did, right.
Yeah, but you can kind of see where that
those buildings where we were looking at them.
Yeah. You know, where they really went the way up and then continued back to the draw where we started, but from up on top of the bluff rather than
came back down the Vierville draw. Right?
Exactly. So really interesting area. Really interesting to see these breakwaters and to think that, you know, that's where these men would have been lying as they were trying to get across the beach.
Can you still get access to Coda's draw? I know somebody asked me the question. I looked on the map and it looks like maybe there's a trail, but I think it's private property, right?
Yeah, it is kind of private property. I mean, you can go up there, and I think, you know, many of us, many guides have done that. We've even done it on an educational tour where we all came together. But yeah, it's not something that really you could do with the public. You could definitely see it. You can drive up to the top of the bluff there and kind of get a glimpse from there, although it's mostly agricultural land.
Yeah, I was joined there on the 6th of June for the 75th anniversary, and I was joined there by several members of the French gendarmerie.
Yeah,
they were asking me why I was hiding in the bushes trying to film the ceremony, which was closed to the public.
Yeah, that gave you a great alibi there, didn't I, Patrick? I don't know what you were doing, but
they were very understanding. But I was arrested briefly, but it was all sorted out. Anyway, so we are. Do we have any more questions and messages coming through?
Actually, I've got a really good one for what we're going to do just coming up next. Actually, we'll probably have to come up here.
You know, we're going to have to cross this between sandbanks. across this bit of the tide that's remaining. We may have to jump. And what you're looking at there in the centre of the screen is the Les Braves monument, the Brave Ones monument. I'm going to go a little bit further back here, Geert, because I don't think my shoes are as waterproof as yours are. Here we go.
So yeah, Patrick, there's a great question from Tommy Bowles. Tommy, great to see you again. I saw your brothers are online as well. So the Bowles brothers, their dad and uncle landed here, Omaha Beach, with the 18th Infantry Regiment, and so they have 2 Omaha Beach shingle. We'll have to talk about shingle and pebbles and the correct use of the word.
I'll remind you.
Right. Okay. And so they're asking what's going to happen with the shingle. Well, I'll tell you what. I said I was going to cross this beach with 44 pounds on my back, so we'll place them at the memorial. Patrick will film. I have already taken pictures of all of the individual pebbles or all the shingle, so I will be able to send those to you, and then we're going to put them back in the bag. We're going to keep going.
Okay. Well, let's go and do just that, because we're just a few seconds away from the Brave Ones monument. Now, I call it the Brave Ones when I'm talking to American or English-speaking people, because the Braves, which is the literal translation of the French Les Braves, sounds a little bit like an American football team to me.
Is there an American football? Probably there is. Yeah. No. Okay. Good point.
But it's the Braves monument, or the Brave Ones monument, or Les Braves in French. A sculpture, an abstract sculpture, designed and constructed by the French sculptress Annie-Laure Bannon. Have you ever met her, by the way?
I have not. No. Of course, seen multiple ceremonies here,
yeah. And I believe that was put up for the 65th.
Yeah, not without controversy.
No,
though, Patrick.
it's a temporary structure, right? And,
yeah,
they wanted to get rid of it, but everybody likes it. So
and then there was a petition, and there, as often is with memorials, people have seen that for other memorials.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of 9/11 and so forth. So some people like it, others don't. But after a number of years, I think people start to kind of adopt it, and it becomes part of the battlefield and the beach and the commemorative efforts. And so,
absolutely,
why not use it for today, right?
And anybody who's been here at high tide will know that at high tide the waters rise higher than the base of the sculpture, right?
Yeah, you can see I don't know if you will ever come back for another tour, Patrick, but you'll have to come back at high tide and let people see, how that completely kind of gets underwater. You see some of the difference in color, although some of that was deliberate.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely.
Well, we all think it's a beautiful sculpture, and if you agree with us, let us know, because apparently there is still an opposition to the sculpture. It does not have permanent planning consent, I believe, but I think for the time being we're pretty safe with the Braves. It's fantastic.
The Atlanta Braves steam rainwater tells us that would be one professional sports team. It's called.
Oh, okay, there we go. But it represents brotherhood, hope, and courage. Is that the third virtue?
Yeah, I think you could actually to the Braves you can attach so many virtues,
freedom.
Mm-hmm.
The middle one is freedom, the one that stands up the tallest. And I always say that to people, that as you go around the side, you see it's actually not so solid, because it's actually the one that topples the most, right? When you come around the side, you can see freedom is actually falling. You see that? I don't know. Everybody has their own interpretation of abstract art, but that's what I see.
I like that one about freedom, being fragile.
It's fragile, absolutely, and never more was it more important to remember that than at the moment, I guess, with what's going on.
And that's one of those things we want to get across to students as well. Be grateful for what you have, everything in life, right? Because we live in a time in history. Oh my goodness, I'm very blessed to live today, and I'm very grateful for it every day, and it changes your life when you are, and you're reminded of it here every day when you work as a Normandy guide.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we have arrived. Where are we going to do the laying of the shingles? And we must talk about that word, shingles, and you must tell everybody, especially those who've recently tuned in, what you're doing today.
All right. So Patrick, one of the ideas to kind of involve people on today's fundraising walk was to put the names of World War II veterans, whether they had landed here at Omaha Beach or other beaches or served in other theaters, to have them placed here at the Braves, because it took courage for all of them, to face their fears and do what they did. So we have their names on 27 pebbles We call them pebbles, or we call them shingle. What
Yeah,
do we do, Patrick?
Well, they are pebbles, and but they are known as shingles here on Omaha Beach. I think probably a British English term.
Yeah, I think, pebble will be probably more what you think of, in America, of what I'm going to show you, right?
Yeah.
Shingle in America, you think of roof. Right?
Absolutely, but the shingles are kind of smooth limestone pebbles here on Omaha Beach,
right.
about the size of your hand, I suppose, maybe a little bit bigger.
Yeah, and seeing that all of the veterans we're commemorating today are American, let's just use the term that American historians and other historians have used, which is shingle. So we'll call these shingle. And what I'll do is, Patrick, I'll place these here at the memorial, and I will read out their names every time I place one in memory of, and I want to thank all of their families for allowing me to do this and for helping support the travel grant program with Next Gen Normandy. So without further ado, I'm going to place my bag up in front.
I'll put the microphone there, Geert.
All right.
Continue talking.
Okay. The first pebble I have here is for Private First Class William D. Walsh. He was actually a ranger who landed at Point du Hoc, was wounded there. I have Private First Class James Hudnall, and talked about James, the hat. He signed that for me. He actually, with all of his gear, ended up in the water. His landing craft was one of the landing craft that never made it to Point du Hoc there, so he got picked up and survived that, but was then later wounded at breast during the fighting there. Staff Sergeant Frank M. Gervasi, I hope that is something I can see this. I was lucky enough to do a tour with him as well. 16th Infantry Regiment, Omaha Beach. So lots of amazing stories there as well. Technical Sergeant Fernand J. Roberge. Jim, Karen, this is for you. Karen's uncle, Fernand Roberge, was a radio gunner on a B-26, and the plane was badly hit. He bailed out, and a parachute caught the tail of the B-26, and he was killed instantly on impact. So he made the ultimate sacrifice. Private William F. Ryan, Bill Ryan, for those of you who know him, the real Private Ryan. Also 1st Infantry Division, landing on the eastern part of Omaha Beach. Second Lieutenant Hiram S. Shumway, 18th Infantry Regiment, also 1st Division, coming ashore at Le Roquet. We'll talk a bit more about that later. My good friend Andy Anderson, Marine Corps Vietnam veteran, great guy. 2 uncles served in the Canadian Army. Rifleman David R. Swidberg landed at Juno Beach on D-Day, so he can be honored here today as well. We have Staff Sergeant Harley A. Reynolds. Harley just recently passed away. Great guy, met him several occasions. We'll go at the E1 draw and talk a little bit about what happened to Harley there as well. Private First Class John B. Kane, 28th Division, the Bloody Bucket Division as the Germans called them, because they had the Keystone, the red Keystone insignia for Pennsylvania unit. Captain John B. Holton, he landed at Utah Beach and made the ultimate sacrifice a few days after D-Day at a little town called Emondeville. Amazing moments that I spent there with his son, who is hopefully watching this from Louisiana. Private Lowell W. Unzicker, 8th Infantry Division. So he actually landed at Utah Beach and later also fought in Brest, where he was wounded, and made it all the way to Germany. So Steve, I hope you're watching too. First Lieutenant Walter J. Gunther Jr. Paul, you have been one of the most inspiring, friends that I've had, and I hope to have for many more years. And it's great what you're doing for Lieutenant Gunther and for his family. And I invite people to Google Walter J. Gunther, and you'll find some great articles there about Paul's dedication. Staff Sergeant Francis E. Bud Owens, who was also an airman. His B-17 was shot down in Normandy. He survived that, tried to get out of occupied France, crossed the Pyrenees Mountains, but he died up there in the middle of a snowstorm. Was lucky enough with a number of friends and colleagues to make a documentary about that. So if you Google Francis Owens, you'll find that. Private First Class Theodore K. Mister. What an amazing story there as well. What an amazing friendship with his daughter and his family. He also made the ultimate sacrifice on the 13th of June 1944. Distinguished Service Cross recipient. So extremely brave. Staff Sergeant Benedict A. Smith. Well, Staff Sergeant Smith, there wouldn't be a Next Gen Normandy program if it wasn't for you. You also made the ultimate sacrifice. And your family, your brother, your niece, they created this wonderful educational program that they kept running for 20 years. And I was given this tremendous opportunity to continue it as Next Gen Normandy. So thank you for your sacrifice, your service, and thank you to your family. Marcia, this one was for you as well. A few more that I have ready here. Staff Sergeant George H. King, just got an email from Ann this morning, 9th Infantry Division. It's all the whole thing, you know, from North Africa all the way to the end of the war. Nadine Joel, Private First Class, Ransby Queen. Again, tremendous sacrifice there. Was killed at Bogaert at the end of July 1944, and also gave his life. Corporal Henry D. Bowles, the Bowles twins. We'll talk about his brother Thomas, who will be coming up as well. You know, these guys, same thing, from North Africa all the way through, from getting captured in North Africa to, you know, getting wounded on June 7th. I mean, these men were just extraordinary examples of courage, dedication, duty, and they were just the greatest guys to be around. So the Bowles family there, really great that I can do this for you. Corporal James E. Parker, Oregon Lions, I hope you're watching there as well. What a great day, couple days we spent, and went to Cherbourg. And Corporal Parker was part of a labor supervision company, so taking care of all those German prisoners of war, trying to, you know, end it all sooner than later. First Lieutenant Charles Cy Carpenter, Mary, thank you for your questions already. Your dad, the whole family. Yeah, that chokes me up to think of that day. We stood at the spot where your grandpa was killed, and we buried that flag right there, you know, his son burying that flag right where it all happened, and stumbling up on that empty, you know, shell casing from a German, you know, machine gun pistol is just very, very powerful. Private Harold Baumgarten, my goodness, for those of you who have had a chance to read his book, Omaha Beach Survivor, I had a chance to meet Harold a number of times, wounded 5 times, including, you know, several times in the back of the neck and his face. Actually, he was lying right here when he got his 5th wound, and the German sniper shot him in the knee. You know, to think that Harold made it through all that, the bloodiest 24 hours of service to his country, but he survived it all and came back to Normandy several times. PFC Thomas Bowles, I'm going to put him next to Henry. These guys were inseparable. So the twins there, check out Bowles twins, Omaha Beach twins. What a story. It was a great moment to spend, you know, to actually get to spend the day with those two, you know, Omaha Beach veterans. You know, just unforgettable. Private Helga Anderson, we talked about Rifleman David Swedberg. Helga Anderson, also related to my good friend Dwight Anderson, who this man also landing on Juno Beach. And actually, David Swedberg was later killed at the end of September during the fighting at Calais, so also made the ultimate sacrifice. Private Cisco Rainwater. Steve's watching. Steve and Gail, just tremendous gratitude for your support over the years, for sharing that moment in Bailey, sitting in that living room with that little old lady, talking about your father's service and your incredible generosity to this project. It just, you know, it humbles me. So I'm very happy I can put this pebble here on the beach as well, or shingle. All right, this is, First Lieutenant Albert F. Hayes. Mr. Hayes, if you're watching, thank you so much for sending the book, referring to your dad, spending that day with you. And Alan Bryson, our colleague, if you're watching, thank you for getting us connected as well. I think I feel a few more. Did I get them all? I got to count them. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 23. Let's see. Do I have all of them, or am I still? Got to dig in a little deeper. Yep. I think I have all of them, Patrick. Just don't want to forget. Let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Wait a minute. feel like, oh, there we go, 2 more. I apologize, little side pocket, no more room in the other pockets. But I have a shingle for private, Joseph Argencio. There's another amazing story. Met Joe 15 years ago. Tried to sign up when he was 16, managed to get signed up at 17, lying about his age. Probably one of the youngest guys to land here at Omaha Beach with the first division. I probably wondered, you know, and actually that's what he told me, wondered what he was doing all of a sudden when he realized where he was. And then the last one I have is for Corporal Harold R. Serre. Rick, thank you very much for contacting you. I just met you through Ron, so I know this was important to you. Thank you for sharing the picture of your grandfather, who was also a 2nd Ranger Battalion veteran. So I think I have 27 there, Patrick, and you know, you will have to cut out the time that we used for this because I still want to get to the challenge. But so happy that we get to do this here at the Braves, and I think I'm going to follow Tommy Bowles' advice, and I'm going to put these back in the bag, and you know, I hope that some of you will come back and maybe be able to give these to you, or maybe send them to you. I think what I'm thinking right now is possibly I'd leave these at our NEXT GEN Normandy headquarters here in Normandy, which I'll tell you a little bit more about as well. But for right now, a lot of people kind of looking around, remembering all of your family members. So
yeah,
thank you very much.
Quite a crowd have gathered here as well. Right? Just a few people walking on the beach, and a lot of respect being shown.
Thank you, Patrick, for creating this opportunity and the amazing job you've done bringing D-Day in Normandy to people these past 2 years when they couldn't come. And so just all around very happy about what we're doing.
You are very welcome, Geert. Very welcome indeed.
All right, so let's start putting these back.
So just while Geert is putting the shingles, each one named for a different D-Day veteran, in his knapsack, we're going to go around the monument. Each of those pebbles will be sent, I believe they can be sent to the family of the veteran, which is why we're taking them away again now. There again. Yet again, one of those fabulous Normandy skies. The signal monument there in the background. And Les Braves in all its glory, or I should say in all their glory. Here on a slightly windy but absolutely beautiful day on Omaha Beach. If you've just tuned in, you're watching Virtual D-Day from We Love Normandy, and I'm here with Geert van der Bogaert, who's raising money for NEXT GEN Normandy, a foundation for providing scholarships to school children and students to allow them to come and visit Normandy from overseas. Okay, Geert, a very emotional moment there, I can tell, for you.
Yeah, I'm very happy I was able to do this, and again, so grateful to have met all these wonderful people and learned about their fathers and grandfathers and uncles, and so yeah, and it's for a great cause. And maybe just do want to mention, Patrick, I heard you use the word foundation a couple of times. NEXT GEN Normandy is a specialist travel agent, program. So this is kind of a personal fundraiser that I'm doing to get these grants to those kids, and we are very happy that we're actually working together with the 116th Infantry Regiment Foundation. They will be supporting our students, massively as well, and so I want to thank them for that partnership. General Shuey